Listen, dear friends, and gather around as I recount a tale that twists through the corridors of desire, betrayal, and the inexorable pull of jealousy. A story that defies the expectations of age, honor, and duty. In a small town where every whispered secret travels on the wind, and every face hides its own silent narrative, there lived a woman named Marcella. At 50 years of age, Marcella possessed an elegance and quiet strength that belied the inner storms of her heart. She ran a modest but well-loved salon in the heart of town, a haven where locals came not only for their hair to be styled, but for the warmth of conversation and the comforting hum of familiarity. Her hands, steady and skilled, worked magic on each client, but behind the mirror and the gentle smile lay a soul haunted by an unfulfilled longing and the bitter sting of jealousy. Marcella had been married for many years to a man named Gregory, a gentle, reliable man whose love for her had once been as deep as an endless well. Yet, as the years passed, the spark between them had dimmed, replaced by routine and the slow erosion of passion. Gregory's affection, though sincere, had become predictable, and Marcella found herself yearning for something more, a surge of excitement, an affirmation that she was still desired and alive. It was on one otherwise ordinary day, when the bell above her salon door tinkled softly as a new customer entered, that fate set its intricate plot into motion. The young man who stepped inside was named Adrian. Only 20 years old, he carried the fresh glow of youth and an unspoiled air of possibility. With a head of tousled hair and eyes that held the brightness of an untold story, Adrian was a study in contrasts, a blend of raw charm and a quiet vulnerability that resonated with those who took a moment to look beyond the surface. He had come to the salon for a simple haircut, but from a moment he sat in Marcella's familiar chair, something stirred deep within her. There was an undeniable magnetism in his presence, a spark that ignited the embers of a desire Marcella had long thought extinguished. Yet, as fate would have it, Adrian was not entirely without his own complications. He had a girlfriend named Lila, a vivacious young woman whose energy and beauty had made her a local darling. Lila, with her bright smile and contagious laughter, worked alongside Marcella at the salon as a junior stylist. Their professional paths often crossed, and for years, Marcella had harbored a secret envy toward Lila. It wasn't merely envy of youth or beauty. It was something more intricate, a bitter, corrosive jealousy born of feeling sidelined, of believing that fate had dealt her a hand less glamorous than that of her lively colleague. In Lila's eyes, Marcella saw a reflection of all the desires she once had, desires that now seemed locked away behind the steady routine of salon days and endless responsibilities. The initial encounter between Marcella and Adrian was innocent enough, a courteous exchange of pleasantries as Marcella draped a crisp white cape around him, her practiced hands deftly maneuvering scissors through his hair. Yet, beneath that veneer of professionalism, an unspoken tension crackled in the air. Marcella found herself lingering a moment too long on Adrian's youthful features, her heart beating in a rhythm that felt both foreign and tantalizingly familiar. With every careful snip of the scissors, a part of her reawakened, stirring emotions she had long buried under layers of duty and quiet resignation. And as Adrian's hair fell away to reveal his bright, eager face, Marcella's mind spun with thoughts of what might have been, a life where passion burned fiercely and where the boundaries of age and convention melted away like morning mist. In the weeks that followed, Adrian became a regular visitor to the salon. Each appointment, whether for a trim or a complete transformation, gave Marcella a chance to bask in the glow of his presence. She listened, with a mixture of maternal fondness and a forbidden thrill, as he spoke of his dreams, his challenges, and the everyday adventures of a youth brimming with ambition. Slowly, a rapport began to form, a subtle, silent dance of glances and smiles that carried far more than simple politeness. Marcella found herself offering extra advice, lingering after the appointment to share a cup of tea, and even sneaking moments to glance at Adrian when he thought no one was watching. In those fleeting seconds, time itself seemed to bend, and the world outside the salon melted away into insignificance. However, behind every whispered compliment and stolen glance lay a storm of emotions. Marcella's heart was a battleground, torn between the secure comfort of a long-standing marriage and the wild, reckless yearning for the passion she believed was embodied in Adrian's youth. Every time Lila, whose presence served as both a reminder of what Marcella had lost and what she now resented, worked alongside him, the jealous embers within Marcella flared into an inferno of bitterness. Lila's effortless charm, her laughter, and the way she seemed to naturally captivate Adrian's attention were a constant, painful reminder of everything Marcella felt she had been denied. One balmy summer afternoon, as the salon buzzed with the low hum of conversation and the soft snipping of scissors, an unexpected opportunity presented itself. Marcella, whose eyes had been locked on Adrian during a routine haircut, found herself alone with him as the salon's closing time approached. The usual background chatter subsided into a quiet lull, and in that silence, words unspoken for so long began to take shape. With a hesitance born of years of repression, Marcella ventured into territory that she had never dared explore before. "Adrian," she began, her voice trembling ever so slightly, "have you ever wondered what it would be like to live a life where you follow your heart, unburdened by the expectations of others?" The question, posed softly in the dimming light of the salon, hung in the air like a challenge, a summons to break free from the chains of convention. Adrian, caught off guard by the intensity in her eyes, paused for a long moment. His youthful face, normally so open and earnest, took on a thoughtful expression as he considered her words. There was an undeniable allure in the proposition, a dangerous freedom that promised both exhilaration and uncertainty. Thus began a clandestine journey, a path marked by secret meetings, hushed phone calls, and shared glances that spoke volumes in silence. The connection between Marcella and Adrian grew in a space where societal boundaries melted away, leaving behind only the raw, unfiltered intensity of human desire. Their rendezvous were always arranged with the precision of careful planning. A stolen hour in the quiet back room of the salon after closing, a midnight meeting in the shadow of an abandoned warehouse, or a fleeting encounter in the muted glow of a deserted parking lot. In these moments, the world was reduced to just the two of them, a realm where age was nothing more than a number and where the heart dared to dream beyond the confines of what was deemed acceptable. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, a palpable tension began to weave its way through their secret affair. Marcella's internal struggle grew fiercer with each passing moment. The thrill of their clandestine meetings was tainted by a gnawing sense of guilt, a deep, persistent voice reminding her of the vows she had taken and the man who had loved her unconditionally for so many years. Gregory, her husband, was a man of quiet dignity, whose life had been built on trust, loyalty, and the steady rhythms of routine. To betray him, even in the quiet corners of her secret life, felt like a betrayal not only of him, but of the very essence of who she once believed herself to be. For Adrian, the affair was a double-edged sword. The intensity of his attraction for Marcella was matched by a sense of moral conflict. He was young and brimming with life, yet he could not help but feel that he was entangled in a web that threatened to ensnare him in consequences far beyond his years. There were moments when the weight of their secret pressed upon him, a heavy silence that echoed in the spaces between their whispered conversations. And though his heart raced each time he met her eyes, there was an undercurrent of sorrow, a recognition that what they shared was as fleeting as a half-remembered dream, destined to crumble under the harsh light of reality. As the seasons shifted and the air grew cool with the coming of autumn, the inevitable complications of their liaison began to surface. Gossip, as it often does in a small town, found its way into every corner of the community. Whispers in hushed tones, sideways glances on the street, and furtive conversations in the back rooms of the salon all pointed to an undercurrent of scandal that could no longer be ignored. Lila, ever perceptive and unafraid to confront the truth, began to sense that something was amiss. Her natural warmth and vibrant personality had always made her a favorite among the regulars, but she could not shake the feeling that the admiration Adrian showered upon Marcella was something more than mere courtesy. One fateful evening, as a chill wind swept through the town and the first hints of winter crept along the cobblestones, the fragile world that Marcella had built upon her secret began to unravel. It started with a chance encounter, an accidental meeting in the narrow corridor of a local grocery store, where Lila, her eyes flashing with a mix of hurt and determination, confronted Marcella in a quiet but piercing tone. "I know what has been happening," Lila said, her voice steady yet laden with pain. "I've seen the way you look at him, the way you steal moments when no one is watching. Why would you do this when you already have everything?" Marcella, caught in the glare of Lila's honest accusation, felt the walls of her carefully constructed facade begin to crumble. In that moment, the inner turmoil that had long been simmering reached a boiling point. The confession was unspoken, yet its truth rang out in the silence of that crowded aisle. A truth that would soon echo in every corner of her life. Haunted by Lila's words and the dawning realization of the consequences of her actions, Marcella found herself in a state of inner conflict. Each day, as she stood before the mirror in her salon, the reflection that stared back at her was that of a woman divided, caught between the remnants of a long-faded love with Gregory and the dangerous allure of a passion that defied the boundaries of time and expectation. The vibrant energy of her younger self, long buried under years of sacrifice and societal convention, was now jostling with the harsh reality of the choices she had made. And yet, even as guilt gnawed at her conscience, there was a part of her that clung desperately to the heady thrill of rebellion, a part that reveled in the secret warmth of a stolen touch and the taste of forbidden desire. The tension in the town grew palpable as murmurs turned into open accusations and the veneer of normalcy began to crack. Gregory, whose quiet demeanor had always masked an inner strength, began to notice the changes in Marcella. The late nights spent away from home, the unexplained absences, and the subtle shifts in her mood stirred suspicions that he could no longer ignore. In quiet moments of reflection, as he sat in the dim light of their modest living room, Gregory found himself piecing together the fragments of a betrayal that cut deeper than any spoken word. His heart, heavy with a mixture of sorrow and indignation, struggled to reconcile the woman he had once cherished with the enigma that now occupied the space beside him. In the midst of this growing storm, the clandestine meetings between Marcella and Adrian took on a desperate urgency. They became furtive, their encounters imbued with a sense of finality, a silent acknowledgement that the fragile web of secrecy they had spun could not hold forever. Their moments together were now marked by a bittersweet tension, each stolen kiss and lingering embrace a reminder that they were treading on dangerous ground. Marcella's internal battle intensified as the allure of the forbidden clashed with the heavy burden of guilt. Every time she gazed into Adrian's eyes, she was confronted with a reflection of her own lost youth, a youth she had once believed was beyond her grasp, yet now had become the very cause of her undoing. And so, as the days shortened and winter's chill crept steadily into the town, the inevitable confrontation arrived. It was a cold, gray morning when Gregory, his eyes tired yet resolute, gathered the fragments of a shattered heart and confronted Marcella. In the quiet solitude of their living room, with the soft light of dawn casting long shadows on the walls, he spoke in a voice that trembled with both sorrow and determination. "Marcella, I have loved you all these years with all my heart, but I see now that you have given your love away to another. Tell me, how could you do this to us?" The words, simple and unadorned, cut through the silence like a knife. Marcella, caught in the crossfire of her own making, felt the full weight of her betrayal. In that raw moment of vulnerability, the carefully hidden secrets spilled forth like the contents of an overfilled chalice. Tears mingled with whispered apologies, and for a fleeting moment, The world seemed to pause as the full magnitude of their lost years was laid bare. Gregory's eyes, filled with a sorrow that was both profound and pained, searched Marcella's face for any sign of the woman he had once known, a woman whose love had once been the anchor in his life. But in that moment, the answer was unmistakable. The truth, bitter and unyielding, hung heavily in the air, and there was no turning back. The betrayal, like a slow poison, had seeped into every corner of their lives, leaving behind scars that time alone could not erase. Yet, even as the confrontation left both Marcella and Gregory shattered, there remained a fragile hope. A hope that perhaps, in the aftermath of such profound loss, the wounds of betrayal might one day begin to heal. Marcella, overcome by remorse and the dawning realization of the irreversible damage she had wrought, vowed silently that she would seek to make amends. She would confront the demons of her own making and strive, however imperfectly, to rebuild what had been broken. But fate, as it is wont to do, would not grant her an easy path to redemption. In the ensuing days, the town became a stage for a drama that played out in hushed tones and furtive glances. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers bore witness to the unraveling of a once stable life. The salon, which had long been a symbol of Marcella's skill and a sanctuary of beauty, now carried the weight of whispered secrets and sorrowful memories. Every snip of the scissors, every stroke of the brush, served as a reminder of the choices made on that fateful day when desire eclipsed duty and the boundaries of age and convention were shattered. Adrian, too, found himself caught in the storm of consequences. The thrill of his illicit liaison had given way to a profound sense of isolation and regret. He struggled with the realization that, in his pursuit of passion, he had become an unwitting pawn in a game of emotions far larger than himself. The vibrant promise of youth, once a source of unbridled hope, was now tarnished by the bitter aftertaste of a relationship that had exacted a heavy toll on everyone involved. As winter deepened and the town's landscape became a study in muted grays and quiet despair, Marcella began a solitary journey of introspection. In the silence of long, cold nights, she reflected on the choices that had led her to this dark juncture, a crossroads where every step had been fraught with regret and every whisper of her heart had carried the echo of a lost dream. She sought solace in memories of a time when love was pure and unburdened by the complexities of jealousy and deceit, and in those moments, she realized that true redemption lay not in the fleeting pleasures of the forbidden, but in the arduous process of facing one's own failings with honesty and humility. And so, dear listener, as you absorb the tragic cadence of this tale, remember that the paths we choose are often lined with consequences both unforeseen and profound. Marcella's story, a tapestry woven with threads of desire, jealousy, and remorse, stands as a testament to the fragile nature of human relationships, a reminder that even the most passionate of hearts can falter when led astray by the lure of the forbidden. It is a story that warns of the dangers of allowing envy to dictate our actions, of forsaking the steady warmth of true, enduring love for the ephemeral thrill of a moment's passion. In the quiet aftermath of the storm, as the first tentative rays of spring began to dispel the winter gloom, Marcella resolved to mend the broken bonds of her past. Though the road ahead was steeped in sorrow and uncertainty, she knew that the only way to find peace was to embrace the truth of her mistakes and to work, day by day, to rebuild the trust she had so carelessly shattered. Gregory, though wounded deeply by the betrayal, too began a slow, painful process of healing, a journey that would test the limits of forgiveness and force him to confront the complexities of love in a world where nothing was ever truly black or white. As seasons turned once more and the town, scarred yet resilient, continued its quiet rhythm of life, the echoes of Marcella's choices lingered like a soft refrain, a bittersweet melody that spoke of lost opportunities, of passions that burned too fiercely and faded too quickly, and of the enduring hope that even in the face of profound betrayal, redemption might still be found. In the silent hours of the early morning, as the world awoke to a new day, Marcella walked the familiar streets with a heavy heart and a determined spirit, each step a quiet vow to honor the lessons of her past and to seek a future defined not by the mistakes of yesterday, but by the promise of tomorrow. And so, dear friends, as you carry the memory of this tale with you, let it serve as both a caution and an inspiration, a reminder that the human heart, for all its capacity for love and passion, is also capable of great folly, and that true strength lies not in succumbing to the allure of the forbidden, but in the courage to face one's own vulnerabilities and to forge a path toward healing, however arduous that journey may be. This is the story of Marcella, a woman caught in the relentless grip of desire and envy, whose actions set in motion a cascade of events that forever altered the course of her life and the lives of those around her. It is a tale of beauty and heartbreak, of the perilous dance between youth and experience, and of the eternal struggle to reconcile the heart's wild longings with the demands of responsibility and honor. May it remind us all that while passion can be a powerful force, it is only when tempered with wisdom, empathy, and a deep respect for the bonds that bind us that we can truly find our way home.